Spokane, and welcome to EvoReal Talks. I'm Jessica Side.
And I'm Matt Side.
And we are excited to be your Christmas hosts today.
Yeah, this is our special Christmas episode.
It is a Christmas episode, and we are going to keep it pretty Christmassy.
However, what is a Christmas episode without a fixer-upper?
Well, nothing says Christmas like a fixer-upper, Matt.
We have a featured house today, Jessica.
All right, tell us about it.
And we can't skip it because it won't be around for more than a couple of days.
It won't be around too long.
This featured house this week is 2427 West Dean in Spokane, Washington. It is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. It is blocks from the Kendall Yard district. I'm not sure if that's officially a district yet or not, but everybody knows where Kendall Yards is.
Yes, I think so.
It's listed for $138,000.
Yeah. That's making every investor in Spokane feel like this. Yeah.
All right, so here's the deal. This one's going to go fast. If you have cash, because I believe it's a cash-only situation.
It is a cash.
Is it possible to do something like a 203K, like a rehab loan? Is that something that the seller will look at?
It's a possibility, but I think competing with cash offers, there's so many. We can talk about 203K loans. There's a lot to it, so I would guess that it might be a little bit challenging to compete with the cash offers that we expect to come in.
Okay. So if you have cash available, this could post a very real opportunity in Spokane.
Absolutely.
So at the time of this recording, if you're much past Saturday, the 19th of December, you might not have much opportunity. But
you might have opportunity because, again, it's a Fannie Mae property, which means it goes a little bit slower as far as response time. So you might have time.
And with the holidays, maybe that'll make it a little bit easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
To get in,
so give us a call at 62 House if that's something that you're interested in. Easy for me to say. 509-62 House. You can also go on our Facebook page and message us there.
Excellent. Well, let's shift gears into a little more Christmassy.
Yeah, a little bit more. So as we approach Christmas, I really wanted to have a cozy episode. So notice if you're watching this, we have faced a different direction so you can see some of our Christmas decorations. But what else can you do besides do a word lesson when you want things to be Christmassy? You can't do anything else but a word lesson.
Okay.
In 2016, hue-guh was one of the runners-up for Word of the Year, but instead, Brexit won. And this is according to the Oxford Dictionary.
Wait, what year was this?
2006.
2006,
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, 2016.
2016.
So just 4 years ago. So, hue-guh. So the word hue-guh is spelled, first of all, Hygge, which doesn't seem right at all, except for the fact that it's a Danish word, and it has no direct English translation. Did you know that?
Not until this moment.
Okay, well, there you go. So I did some digging in Wikipedia, and this is what Wikipedia says about hue-guh. It's a Danish and Norwegian word for a mood of coziness and comfortable conviviality with feelings of wellness and contentment.
Conviviality.
I really
should be the word of the day.
Love it. Hygge refers to a form of everyday togetherness, a pleasant and highly valued everyday experience of safety, equality, personal wholeness, and spontaneous social flow.
Wow.
I know.
Hygge sounds like quite the experience.
Hygge sounds great. We are going to be talking about hygge and how we can experience that in our own life. And honestly, most people think of the wintertime when they think of hygge, if you've done any reading of books about it. So some quick etymology about it, which I think is very interesting. The word hygge comes from a Danish word that means to give courage, comfort, and joy. And hygge stems from hygge. I don't know how to say this, but we're just going to go with it. It's Hyggja.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, which means to think in Old Norse. So it's very much like we're talking Viking days here is how far back this word goes.
Okay.
Hygge is built from an Old Norse word that means hugr, Hugr. Can you guess what word we have in our English language that is close to that?
Hugr?
Yeah, Hurg. I mean Hugr.
Hug?
Yes, hug. Exactly. hug means, in their language, it meant soul, mind, and consciousness.
Wow, this is a cozy culture.
It is, actually, that is very true. That's why they write books about it. So 4 years ago, hue-guh was all the rage in the United States. There's several books. I remember going to, I think I was in Costco, and there was all these books about it. And I'm like, what is this? I think I like the idea of this hue-guh thing. And it came to kind of be defined, and it became a very, people used it to sell stuff.
Sure, that's the American way.
That
right?
is, well, it's not just the American way. I think there are other countries that do the same thing, but it came to mean warm, cozy blankets, cozy socks, something warm to drink, and a good book, which all sound pretty wonderful. I think most people, that appeals to them. I've also seen it referred to as things with low lights and candles and a fireplace. Those are all concepts that are associated with hue-guh. But certainly, it is a lot more than warm blankets and hot cocoa, although those things are really wonderful. So I think hue-guh means something different for everyone. And so I'm going to share some things about what hue-guh means to some people in my life, and maybe it will give you some ideas for you. And I think everyone at this time of year typically has some of those warm, cozy, because it's not just warm and cozy, it's also coupled with friendship and family and contentment in your life. And so one of the things for me that's very hue-guh is, which is really fun to say, and you feel a little bit silly saying it, is sharing food with my friends. So we bought an outdoor pizza oven this year, and we had some friends over to eat with us outside, and that was even though it was summertime, it was very hue-guh, right? We were there together, we're eating, we're having fun, we're trying different combinations on the pizza. That was a very fun and hue-guh thing for me. Now, for my stepmom, Holly, I started thinking about her. Fresh flowers are very hue-guh for her. She loves having fresh flowers in the house, and it gives her, it's a priority. Like, when we go to the grocery store, she says, I got to pick up some fresh flowers. And I always thought, that's not something I ever think about doing. Maybe it's too non-practical or something like that, but it gives her a feeling of contentment, and I think that that's really important. So figuring out what are your favorite simple pleasures and practicing those regularly, because if you remember that the definition that they talk about it's an everyday experience. It's not just something that you do every once in a while. It's something that you do.
It's not intended to be a Christmas experience.
Exactly.
It's a lifestyle experience.
Yes, it is. Now, again, some people say, well, I'll talk about my daughter a little bit later on, but she has some very strong feelings about what time of year, yes, about what time of year you can have hue-guh in your life. But some things like, it could be something simple like taking your dog for a walk, watering your plants, doing a craft, meditating. Those are all things that can kind of bring that contentment and conviviality, as you remember. I know.
Strong word.
It's an amazing word. So Danish doctors recommend tea and hue-guh as a cure for the common cold.
Notice what I'm drinking while we record this episode.
I know, but I love that. It's the cure for the common cold. Tea and hue-guh.
And really, technically, isn't coronavirus the same virus that is in the common cold? So there's your solution.
We've been having hue-guh all year. So I asked some folks on my real estate team to share with me what is hue-guh for them. So Matt, as I'm reading through these, I want you to come up with your own ideas and own thoughts about what hue-guh is.
What's hue-guh for me?
Yeah, I mean, I know some things that are super hue-guh for you. So
super hue-guh.
Super hue-guh, super hue-guh.
It reminds me a little bit of our episode about the Spokane bushwhackers or whatever they were called.
Yes, yeah.
Just that word.
Very good. Was it bushwhackers?
No.
It was something else. Huskers or something like that.
We'll
anyway.
Figure it out. It probably didn't have bush in it at all, and I'm just like adding that.
All right, so here is when I asked my real estate team, here are some of the things that they said. So Stacy Sampson said, for me, our hue-guh is at the end of the day, curling up on our cozy couch with our pups under the warm blankets. One of us makes dinner, the other cleans up, and we snuggle with our four-legged kids until we're ready for bedtime.
That's Pretty hygge.
Yeah, very hygge. Cindy McCann, she said, so I was talking to Kelly, who is her husband, about the last night of our tradition on Christmas morning. Excuse me. Oh, I see. She said, I was talking to him last night about our Christmas tradition on Christmas morning, which is mimosas with fresh squeezed ruby red grapefruit juice and eggs Benedict, which we all share in the making. And then she said it didn't sound very Christmassy to her. She was like, I don't know if that's really... And I say, you know what, Cindy? Hygge is in the eye of the beholder. So if that's hygge to you, then that is hygge to you.
Absolutely.
Dan Wilson said, I don't hygge in the traditional sense. Calm is reached when summiting the top of a vista on my fat bike, enjoying the view of the quiet, snow-blanketed forest from the bird's perspective, listening to the sounds of nature and the changing environments. Wow. You are a poet, Dan. I love that.
That's awesome. I love that.
I told him, I said, that is totally hygge. I mean, it's wonderful. Being outdoors and appreciating nature is a huge part of that healthy, contented life. Julia McMahon said, ours is getting up with kiddos, opening stockings, then presents, one at a time, going from youngest to oldest. I put breakfast in the oven while we open gifts, and this year I'm trying quiche. And the day also involves going to Mass at some point, usually midnight on Christmas Eve, but this year will look a little different. She also said, and coffee, lots of coffee. My typical Christmas Eve is what brings contentment at our mom's house, singing Christmas carols and seeing everyone. This year will be the first time in her whole life that she will not be doing that, and she's going to try and not focus on that because she might cry. Now,
so instead we'll put it on the radio, podcast, and a YouTube, so maybe don't watch any of this for a while.
So Julia McMahon is actually my sister, so this is one of our shared traditions. And actually growing up, I literally had no idea that other people did not sing Christmas carols on Christmas Eve. And only when I was an adult, I mean, and even maybe after I married you, I realized that it was not what everybody did.
Everybody didn't gather.
I thought
around
everybody
and pull out
sang
a
Christmas
guitar.
carols. Yes, I really, really did. And I thought, when people would say, oh, I don't know the words to that, I think, you're crazy. Of course you know the words to this. You sing it every year at Christmas Eve. But they don't. But our family does. And this year, I think we will probably do a Zoom version of that so we can all still be together and sing those Christmas carols. So that'll be special. So then here's the deal. After Julia wrote that, Cindy, who we talked about with the mimosas, she read it and she said, well, that reminds me of a tradition that we do at our house. She was like, I've got to find something more Christmassy. She said, we typically get quite a bit more for stockings than we do for the actual gifts because even our kids in their late 20s and one over 30, it's still their favorite part of Christmas. And they're so excited to wake up and get their stockings. It's like they're kids all again. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cozy.
So,
see, Cindy, you have hygge. And I honestly, eggs Benedict with a mimosa, that's pretty
sounds
hygge
pretty
too.
wonderful.
I mean,
and cooking it with your family, it sounds pretty wonderful as well. So I know I get teased a lot about my board gaming love, and I tease myself because I know it's a little bit of a geeky thing. But honestly, board games are the perfect hygge for me. And actually, if you read the books, they talk about board games as being a big part of that culture. And here's the reason why. I love sitting across from people that I love or people that I'm getting to know and looking in their eyes and engaging with them for an hour or two or three. I usually have a hot drink when I'm playing board games. I turn off my cell phone and I focus on being together. And that might be a cooperative task that we're doing or even friendly competition. I absolutely love it. My daughter said to me, so Mom, what's hygge to you? And she goes, is it playing board games? I was like, yes, it actually is. So whenever I think of board games, I don't just think of board games. I think about the people that I'm going to be playing those board games with. And that really makes my soul feel warmth. So
that's good.
There you go. You can tease me all you want.
But that's her hygge.
That's my
hygge.
hygge. My daughter, Brooklyn, I said that I would bring her up. Here's what she said.
Does she have an opinion about hygge?
She has an opinion. She said, hot chocolate, cozy socks, fire on, Christmas lights on, but not the ugly multicolored lights. Only the white lights. Those can change, like from colored to not colored, And so she said, so after that she said, Dad reading me Harry Potter. Hygge is wintertime. I don't feel hygge when I'm swimming in a pool.
That's fair, Brooks.
But Harry
That's
reading,
fair.
she said every year around this time she wants to just sit by the fire and have you read, you specifically.
Oh, see, that's hygge for me.
It's super hygge. I love it.
Dan's going to title this thing Sapfest or something.
I know. So, Matt,
All right,
now
what
know
is
what
hygge?
hygge is. What is hygge to you?
It's all about environment.
Okay, which is big. Okay.
So two things come to mind when I think of hygge for myself. So it doesn't always have to be warm. So there are two extremes, if you will, for me. Hygge is absolutely, positively sitting by the fire with some, whether it's a warm drink or a glass of wine or something like that. So sitting by the fire, and it could be journaling, it could be reading, some sort of like space,
concentrated thing that you're
and if I've got this in the background, trees and lights and things like that, it's even that much more. But it definitely is dim. So if I get up early, and like my early morning times are kind of hygge for me.
Yes,
right? Like there's only a couple
he gets
of
up
lights
really early, and it's kind of gross.
There's only a couple of lights on in the room, so I like the dimness. So that's hygge for me. The other thing, and actually Dan Wilson's description of hygge helped me like identify this as well, is there is something special about the forest in winter. Yeah. So
I agree.
By myself, cross-country skiing up on Mount Spokane when the trees are covered in snow, and then maybe there's a light snow falling, and I'll just stop. And it is absolute, total silence. Like it is truly, it's a spiritual experience.
It's a different type of silence, though.
It's not just, it's like anti-silence.
Yeah.
It's like not just quiet. It's like it's absorbed any potential sound that's even in there.
It's really amazing.
It is, so it's magic, and truly is, for me, a spiritual experience to be up in the forest like that, all by myself, in the dead of winter, and especially if the trees are covered in snow.
Ooh, I feel you. I had a feeling that was the direction that your hygge would go. So, Matt, I do want you to share with us a little. I told you what hygge was, basically, and I said, find some things in Spokane that are hygge right now, things that people can experience for this particular feeling.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting time to look for hygge.
Yes, it is.
I mean, the reality is that sitting in a coffee shop is probably going to be a better hygge than some of the things that you can do right now. But I think you have to remember, we all have to remember, that hygge is a choice and a lifestyle and a perspective, if you will, not just an experience. So here are a few things that, depending on who you are, you might find hygge in this, but you surely can find something fun for you and your family to do. This is going on, but there is a kids' holiday hunt that is happening in downtown Spokane. Okay. So here's the deal. Okay. There are 10 colorful trees hidden all over downtown Spokane. Oh. Each tree contains a clue to answer this year's holiday hunt riddle. Oh my gosh, I love this. So solve the riddle and earn a bag full of holiday fun. And how it works: use your holiday hunt worksheet, which you can download. You can download from downtownspokane.org. Locate the trees. Once you've collected all the clues. Okay. So you've got your 10 trees, your 10 clues. You're going to unscramble them to answer the riddle, and then show your completed worksheet to the concierge inside River Park Square to exchange for a prize. Oh. So from now until December 24th, so through Christmas Eve, you can do the kids' holiday hunt. Go find the trees in downtown Spokane. So here's the thing I had to say, tying it in with a board game. There is a game that my son and I love to play. It's called Unlock, and it's like an escape room in a little box, and you pull it open, and it's got all these clues. And so this
is right up our alley.
Yeah, he's
like,
going to love it.
Benson and I need to go do this for sure. Because
that is probably hygge for him on some level.
Yeah, it is.
He loves that kind of stuff.
He does love it.
A couple other things. We've talked about them before, but the Enchanted Garden Drive through Manitou Park is going on. So you can search those details. But basically, it goes through... open through Sunday, December 20th. So that is coming up. So this is the last weekend to take advantage of that.
Yes.
There's also the Lights Up the Holiday Tree Walk in Riverfront Park. So there's approximately 40 fresh cut trees located throughout the park along with holiday lights and the singing sculpture at the Rotary Fountain.
You know what I will say, because my brother just posted a bunch of pictures just on our family chat of them going down there, and it's beautiful.
40 trees is a lot of trees.
Well, the trees, but also the lights overhead, and it's really quite the winter wonderland. And that is, see, you go do that, and then you come home because you're a little bit cold, and then you get your hot cocoa and your warm blankets. Because there's a reason. You have to have a reason to be sitting under the blankets.
Yes, that's true.
You either have the common cold, and the Danish doctor says to you, get some tea and hygge, or you go out. You go for a walk. You go into Riverfront Park. You play in the snow. You make a snowman.
All right. So other things going on in Spokane that would be considered hygge, just right in line with what you were talking about. The Pavilion has a holiday nightly light show that's going on from sunset to 10 p.m. That goes all the way through January 3rd. So up in the Pavilion, up above.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be really cool. Sunset to 10 p.m. for that. Kind of the last thing on my list is the winter market at the Pavilion. So again, that's on
Wednesdays.
That's on Wednesdays, 3 to 7 every Wednesday through January, except for the 23rd. So the 23rd, right before Christmas, they're not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, the thing with that, the hygge about that, is that you actually are in, there is an environmental aspect to that. There will, I'm sure, be hot drinks and little trinkets and.
Yes, and you can always bring your own. That's the thing. I think about this and I go, you know what? We have to be careful. We're not going to be trying to spend a lot of time with people outside of our bubble, right? So we're going to make the hot cocoa. We're going to make the popcorn. We're going to put that in our car. We're going to bring that with us so that can be a part of our time. And my encouragement to everybody during this time is to find those creative ways, to find those special places with those people in your bubble. Don't put people at risk in your family, but enjoy this time. Enjoy the time that can fill you with contented conviviality.
Contented conviviality. We actually should play a game with our family this year and have them each describe what hygge is to
First,
them.
I have to explain what hygge is, and then I have to spell it for them and give them the etymology.
Well, you don't necessarily
etymology.
Have to do all of that. But
well, maybe not.
Did you say
the edibleness of it.
All right.
So, several years ago, we wrote a newsletter. And in that newsletter, we told a story that is told every year in our family. And I grew up on this story. But I told Matt, I can't read it because it makes me a little teary and I don't really want to cry and not be able to get the story out. So I've asked Matt to read this story from me. So if it sounds like it's a little bit weird coming from him, that's the reason why.
Well, that and the fact that, I've been told several times that I have a better radio voice than you.
All right, Matt.
All right.
Tell us the story.
Jessica's Family Christmas Story. One of my favorite Christmas stories is a true story my Irish grandmother told my mother told me, and which I now tell my own children. So get yourself a cup of cocoa, preferably with some marshmallows, sit by the fire, and enjoy. Albuquerque, New Mexico, during the Korean War is the setting. Maureen, my grandmother, was then a young mom, far from her family in Ireland, raising 4 little children, while her husband George, an enlisted man, served in the Air Force in Korea. Money was tight, really tight. My Uncle Michael was the oldest, a whole 7 years old at the time, and he only wanted one thing for Christmas, a shiny black bicycle. As a matter of fact, he refused to give Santa or his mother any other gift ideas. Grandma did her best to steer him away from expecting a bike. She explained that bikes were expensive, and neither she nor Santa had that kind of money. Michael told her not to worry. Santa didn't need money. Santa had elves who could make the bike for him. The discussion went on for at least a month, as Michael, the great believer, told the whole neighborhood that he was getting a shiny black bike from Santa. Christmas Eve, Michael went to bed convinced that there would be a bike under the tree. His mother went to bed in tears, knowing the few small gifts she'd been able to afford for her 4 children did not include a bicycle. Early, way too early, Christmas morning, knowing that he was not allowed to go into the living room before his mother got up, Michael ran into his mom's room, climbed on the bed, and his eyes dancing asked, "Are you ready to go see the bicycle Santa brought me?" His mother was so frustrated by then, she was actually angry. "Michael," she said sharply, "there is no bicycle. I told you I had no money for a bicycle." Michael just smiled and said, "I told you Santa doesn't need money. I just know there is a black bike under the tree." Grandma Maureen, completely defeated by now, wiped a tear away and asked quietly, "Why don't we just go see what Santa did leave for you?" From the hallway, she could see light coming from the living room. She knew she hadn't left the lights on the tree plugged in, but clearly they were on. They stepped into the living room, and there, in the dim, multicolored light, stood a shiny, black bicycle with a big red bow and a tag on it that read, "To Michael, from Santa." As his mom stood staring, trying to take in what she was seeing, Michael ran to examine the amazing gift. "I knew it," he said. "I just knew it. I told you Santa would bring me a bicycle." For years, that's where my grandmother and later my mother ended the story. Proof positive that Santa was indeed real. It wasn't until I was about 11 that my mother told me the rest of the story. Later that Christmas day, my grandmother, Michael's mom, found out what had happened. For weeks, Michael had gone up and down the block, telling anyone who would listen that he was getting a black bicycle for Christmas. A kind, older couple lived down the block. Behind Michael's family across the alley, they had become friends with my grandmother and knew that if they didn't take matters into their own hands, Michael was going to be an extremely disappointed little guy come Christmas morning. The older couple found a used bicycle in the for sale section of the local paper, and the man spent hours refurbishing it with great care, frantically hiding it whenever he spotted Michael coming down the alley to visit his workshop. When the bike was as perfect as he could get it, the man polished the handles so the silver shone, and then he painted the bicycle shiny black. Because Michael's mom was the only parent in the home, she'd entrusted an extra house key to the older couple for emergencies. And with that key, in the wee hours of Christmas morning, while everyone slept, the kind man unlocked the front door, wheeled the bicycle into the living room, and for an added touch of magic, just before he slipped out the door, he plugged in the tree's lights. Long after I stopped believing in Santa Claus, that story helped me believe in the goodness of the average person, and I still do. With that, we would like to wish all of you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. A beautiful sight, we're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland.